Okay, so I'm obsessed with marketing, and I find guys like Frank Kern, Eben Pagan. I start getting into Robert Cialdini, Influence, the 48 Laws of Power, and now drilling deeper with the audiobooks. Instead of all this, kind of general self-help information, I started drilling deep into things that were specifically applicable to where I was at, to my business, to marketing. I'm like, oh, you can actually market and advertise and learn copy and learn how to communicate with people in a way that inspires them to take action. You can actually say something to somebody that makes them feel compelled to buy or feel compelled to trust you, right there in the moment, to where they'll sign a check and leave it on their countertop before you've even cleaned the windows. I didn't know these things, but I started using it in the videos. I started applying it. I started talking in ways that were not only vulnerable, but allowed me to connect with my customer. Does anybody know what a customer avatar is? Okay, I'm going to be teaching that in a few minutes after this. I started talking to who I called Joe. And Joe was a former version of myself. This is really important. Pay attention to this part. If you can actually step inside of your prospect or step inside of your perfect customer to the point where you actually animate and become them, even to the point where you're maybe even crying because you can experience what they're feeling so deep. Remember I talked about the different stages of consciousness? When you get out of that me stuff, you can actually get into somebody else's mind and emotions to the point where you can, oh my God, I'm Joe. I make $250,000 a year. I have a master's degree. My wife is a nurse. We have 3 kids. We live in a house in this zip code. We drive these types of cars, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the more you can go through those exercises is the more that you can begin to speak in ways that are almost hypnotic, or write in ways that are almost hypnotic, or make videos in ways that they go, oh my God, I feel like you're talking to me, right? I was doing that in my YouTube videos. I started applying this information, and all these Joes started showing up. Most people think everybody's my customer. You've heard that. If everybody's your customer, nobody's your customer. When you narrow and you drill down deep specifically, and you get into psychological, marketing, persuasion, and it's really just being real on the rawest level, that's what will happen. So all of these Joes started showing up, but they started showing up in masses. I started getting emails like the landscaping employee trap, window cleaning blueprint. I started getting emails and personal messages and Facebook comments coming in of people saying, I feel like you're talking directly to me. How do you know what's going on in my business? Do you have a camera in my house? What's going on here? And what I started to do is actually take that information, and I started interviewing people. I'd get on the phone with them. I would talk to them, and I would say, surveying them. What's going on in your life? What's going on in your business? What's going on here? Okay, what have you been through? Oh, a lot of the same stuff that I was through. Then I started talking about that and actually using that information to extract it in a positive way, because you can use this stuff for no good, like evil if you want, or you can use it for good. It depends on where your heart is. And my heart is absolutely in the right place, and I love doing this, but that's when it really started to blow up, when I started learning marketing. I would listen to these marketing seminars by Eben Pagan, Get Altitude. Check that out. You might want to write that down. Is anybody here heard of, okay, Eben Pagan, Get Altitude. Who else? Dan Kennedy, No BS Marketing, stuff like that. So they kept talking about persuasion, they kept talking about psychology, they kept talking about all the things I'm talking about, and I said that has nothing to do with marketing, that has nothing to do with getting a customer. It's about putting flyers out and business cards, it's about putting out advertisements, that's only the modality of it, that's only the box that the website is. What is the information contained inside of it? And let me go to my notes here. One moment. So I'm going to teach how to start and grow a YouTube channel, exactly how to do it, step-by-step, tags, titles, long tail and short tail keywords, descriptions, repurposing content, different social media platforms. But I want to drill a little bit deeper into this whole psychology thing and thinking like your customer and driving deep into their psychology, because you can post one thing You know, you could say you could post 100 things that get almost no engagement. You're like, I'm trying, I'm doing this YouTube thing, I'm shooting these videos, I'm making these Facebook posts, I'm going and liking people's stuff and trying to emulate what I see is happening in the social media marketplace, but it's not working. What is this Instagram thing? What is this Pinterest and all this Snapchat? You know, this is crazy, but it's something that you can't see around you, but it's all happening. It's like virtual reality. When you really get everything that I'm saying, and then you start using that inside of your social media, you'll notice it. It's like getting out of your own head and getting into the reality of what are people feeling. Here's another thing. You're not talking to an entire audience of people. Some people will, they'll take a camera, or they'll be on camera, or they'll try to videotape themselves, and they go, hey everybody, blah, 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 blah. Well, really, what do you do when you hold your phone or your camera? You're looking at it and you're going, it's just you by yourself in a room. You're not standing with an audience of people watching it. So that's one more thing. Look into the camera and talk into the eyes of your customer avatar. Talk directly to Joe. Like when I'm looking in the camera, I'm literally looking, and I believe in my head and in my heart that I'm talking to Joe. What's going on, Joe? How are you doing? You're my friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And then the person on the other end actually feels like you're talking to them. There's no disconnect there. So how can you emulate? There's a story that I really like. To one more thing to drive this home. Things that are physical and tangible in the real world, like this podium, this table, this Cliff Bar wrapper, this coffee. Like you can see this, you can feel it, you can touch it, you can drink it, you can taste it. It's tangible. People respond to tangible things. When you speak of things that are physical, when you speak of an emotion. But if you're talking about concepts, like I used to be like, my head was so up my ass, and I wanted to be smart so bad. My biggest fear is that people will think I'm stupid, right? That's my biggest fear. That I would start talking about all these deep terms when I was around people, and they were like, that guy's fucking weird, man. You know what I'm saying? It's because I wanted so bad to be accepted. I felt like I was grasping for just some type of approval. And I believe in some sort of way we have this shame inside of us, this fear of vulnerability, that we're afraid to actually just be real. Like, has anybody noticed in their businesses when you just started, like, you go through this whole anxiety gap or this trap, and you finally say, I'm just going to be real with my customer and say, this is the way it is. This, and this needs to be done. That needs to be done. If you don't do this, this is going to happen. And this is how much it costs. And if you want to know why, I'll tell you exactly why. Take it or leave it. Like, and then people respect that, because people are like Jack Welch of General Electric. He said, people are very resilient. You have to be candid with people and tell them the way it is. Tell them what they're doing right. Tell them what they're doing wrong. And they're not going to hate you for it. They're not going to judge you for it. They're actually going to respect you for it because they're resilient. Like, do you know anybody in your life that is totally real with you? And sometimes they're a little edgy. Sometimes they're an asshole. But you're like, damn it, I love that person, because that person isn't afraid to speak the truth and tell me the way it is, right? So a lot of us are stuck in this ego thing. When you strip all that stuff down and you actually start communicating in a very real, authentic way, like the white noise that you see on social media everywhere, I mean, it's happening constantly everywhere in all forms. It's insanity. When you strip all that stuff down and you just start being real, you can communicate and connect with people on such a deep level, and then you can also build trust, reciprocity. And now you can actually begin to grow your social media channel. Take the stuff you do directly in your business, just like when you talk to your customer face to face and you're just conversating with them. That's all you're doing when you're making videos. That's all you're doing on social media, is being real. I put a camera on people sometimes, and instantly they're like, do I got to act now? Am I an actor? What's going on here? And so you're just being real. And it's this whole technology gap. So, like, if you walked around any other time in human history holding a cell phone to your head going, I know, blah, 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 like, people would think that you were absolutely insane. They'd probably burn you at a stake. My buddy Andrew, I said this in a video recently, he said, I thought about this, the only difference is the position of your arm. I mean, that's literally the only difference. The technology bridges the gap. But if you walk around going like this, like literally in public or on a job site, people are going to think, what's that guy doing? That guy doesn't fit in. He's crazy. So it's about being willing to not fit in. It's being willing to, step into scrutiny. Okay, we're going to get actually into the tactical stuff now. Is anybody learning anything here? Okay. Okay, so if you want to use the power of video to expand your social media platforms, increase your viewer engagement, let me check my camera here. Got about 20 minutes and we'll do Q&A. 1 second.